And in order to find out where the first modern human being evolved on this earth. And what they found was that the first modern human being who evolved on this earth was a black female. And in every one of your genes runs the memory of that first black female. People of color have been on the earth longer than white people have. That's a fact.
Hello folks, welcome back again to my YouTube channel at Willy Doki Stories. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, like and share. So today I have a very interesting topic, and the topic is all about racism. Are all white people racist? Let me know in the comment sections. So folks, racism is a very bad thing. It discriminates people. It lowers people's self-esteem. So there's this one teacher called Jane Elliott. She talked about racism in her classroom, and she described it in very few words, and what she said will shock the world. So folks, imagine being told that you are inferior, less intelligent and not as good as anyone else in the room, just because of something you cannot change, something you are born with, something which is very natural in your body. That's being black, and that's why we're calling it racism. So folks, let's see what Jane Elliott has to offer us this day. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share.
Are all white people racist?
100%. How can you be a white South African and not be racist? And I don't mean that in the way of you necessarily consciously think that black people are inferior. I mean that there is just no way that you could have been born into this society without internalizing racist assumptions. But let's not make that the end of the conversation. It's not racist. It's just a fact. Let's not make that the end of the conversation. Let's say, yes, sure, we are all racist, and what are we going to do about it? Let's move on. Let's not make that the final insult.
Monique, do you agree with Rebecca saying 100%?
No,
all white people are
I
racist?
Disagree with what she's saying. I think that whiteness and white privilege has become this buzzword that you hear all the time. But actually, it's a way to silence anyone that is not of color. What she was basically saying is, if you are a white person, you are racist just because you are white, without any evidence. I am not a racist person. I respect all people. I respect black people, white people, colored people. So I feel it's very offensive to say that all white people are racist. It's just not true. And I think that to make whiteness the enemy is easier to fight than to fight the crippling corruption, to fight unemployment, to fight, to fight the wealth gap, because the political leaders that we have cannot fight that stuff. They don't have the skills to fight that, and then they make race the problem.
Ooh, Sarah.
Sorry.
You look like you totally disagree here.
I do totally disagree. I think that I'm a little bit torn because I really want to reply to a bit of what Monique has said, but I also really don't want this conversation where we have a potential to disrupt whiteness to be centered around the type of whiteness that is displaying the racism that you say that you aren't. I mean, the comment about people not having skills is inherently racist.
Yes.
Just to point out one thing. I think we should have the conversation about how to give back the land. I think that's what we should do.
Do you agree with Monique?
Well, I think that what we need to look at is an element of complicity, Mr. Chaba. And I think that fundamentally what we haven't unpacked, we've gone through the TRC process, and what we haven't understood is how white people have benefited firstly from apartheid, and secondly how a particular group of white people in this country have become fabulously rich off the back of apartheid. Now, I think that white complicity, overall, we can look at, and the responsibility to promote social justice in our country, firstly. But when we have two families, there are two families in this country, the Oppenheimers and the Ruperts, names we don't necessarily all know, who have as much wealth as 50% of our people. It's an extraordinary crime. We should call it nothing else. That must be challenged. It's a crime against our humanity, and it's a humanity of 50 million people in this country. That's precisely where we need to focus at and say, how did you make your money during apartheid? How did you build those networks? And how do you retain and entrench your power in the last 20 years? And quite clearly, no one is disrupting that power fundamentally.
All right, Loveland,
I think what Elisa was trying to raise earlier about, PJ's song, yes, struggle hero or you fought and whatever. I think the problem is that we forget that white people today have the option of tapping out, right? So you can sing Jabulani and you can dance, but then you can also remove yourself from the lived experiences of the culture that you're trying. I'm sorry, I'm speaking. From the culture that you're trying to represent. That doesn't make you a bad person. It's just the truth of the situation. And I think in South Africa, this is really what the conversation needs to be about. We need to talk about, why did apartheid end? Why did colonialism end? It didn't end because people's perspectives and behavior changed. It ended because it was expensive. It ended because white people couldn't travel anymore. It ended because they couldn't go and play sport. Because entertainment for white people was over. Therefore, they needed to bring equality. That's not, we need to be honest. We must be honest about this. So for me, when we want to have this conversation, it's easy to say, let's talk about the Rainbow Nation. Of course, you can look forward if your life was never tainted by the experience of apartheid. Of course, you can look forward. It's not the same.
A white person would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society. Please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen.
There were no Indians here when Christopher Columbus got here. There were people from Africa who had been here for over 10,000 years before Christopher Columbus was born. It's time for us to teach our children the truth.
Do you want to know why conservatives and Republicans hate white liberal women so much? It's because they need us.
No, Scarlett, the issue is your overt racism wrapped in a smile and a white savior complex. Yep. You've been conditioned to believe that nothing can succeed without you, that our progress requires your approval, your presence, and your guidance. And because your sense of value is tied to being needed, you've created policies and movements that keep people dependent on you. Because the moment a black person or a Hispanic person doesn't align with your value system, the one that positions you as the gatekeeper to our success, you flood our DMs, calling us traitors to our race. Yep. You police us like overseers. Yep. You put us in our place and you chase us like slave catchers, trying to drag us back into dependency so you can keep calling yourself an ally. That's why people are done with white liberalism. Facts. It's not because you're powerful. It's because you need to feel like you are by any means necessary.
Well, every white person in this room who wants to be treated the way we have treated people of color in this country, if you'd like to be treated that way, all you white folks, if you want that for the rest of your life, please stand. Yeah. Did you understand the directions? If you're white and you think blacks have got it so good in this country and you want to be treated the way they have been for the rest of your life, just stand up. You know why you aren't standing. You know it's ugly, and you know it's happening, and you know you don't want it to happen to you. So I want to know why you're so willing to allow it for others.
Several people in this group are very, very angry. Yes. They're angry after an hour of being denied what they consider their right.
This man said yes.
But those very people who are that angry over an hour of very minor discomfort in a place they volunteered to be are the same people who would say they don't understand LA and the anger.
Yes. Your point might be made here by us wearing our collars and treating us really poorly, but then again, you've made a complete generalization and assumption that those of us who have green collars support or can't empathize with what happened in LA. You've made a complete assumption on what we look like based on our beliefs.
You don't like people making broad generalizations about you and assumptions about you without knowing you? That doesn't make you comfortable to have people making broad generalizations and assumptions about you without knowing you as an individual?
It makes me very uncomfortable.
It makes you very uncomfortable? Anybody else in this room ever had that kind of discomfort on a daily basis? Have you been uncomfortable about their discomfort for the last 30 years of your life? Oh, sure. That's the majority of white people in this country say, I'm uncomfortable about this, but they better not move into my neighborhood. You need to realize that white people do not live in the same reality that people of color do. We think that because we have all these freedoms, everybody else has them too. That isn't the way it is, people. We are living in a society in which white people, how many of you people of color can leave when you get tired of racist behaviors directed toward you? How many of you can leave? Why not? There is no place to go in this country where there isn't racism. How many of you women, when you get tired of sexist behaviors directed toward you, can leave? None of you, because there's no place in this country where there isn't sexism.
As a member of the group that was treated so poorly, I was feeling very frustrated, and the bottom line feeling, this isn't fair. And I can relate to that because as a female in what is not just a white power structure in this country, but a white male power structure in this country, I've lived that one.
But you haven't lived as a black female.
Absolutely not.
And there is
That's
a
right.
total difference. All you have to do is attach yourself to a significant white male and you'll be okay. But that cannot happen.
In the
to
corporate
person who
boardroom, I can't
the color of
change
her
my
skin.
sex.
You're right. In the corporate boardroom, you can't change your sex or take off the collar.
But you can change your sex, and people do it all the time. Ever seen a map that looked like this before? Have you ever seen this map?
I've seen that, man.
Genes K through 16 in the United States of America. Now, folks, look at this map. According to you, your social studies teacher, what is the equator?
Right.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Around the center of the earth. Then if this map is correct, then the equator must be here, and Chicago has a tropical climate. Now, folks, this is the map that we use in the schools. Look where the United States is, in the middle of the world, right? Now, here's the USSR, which is no more, of course, Mongolia, China, Africa, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Now, look over here. USSR, Mongolia, China, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. 20 is here. We have 2 Indias. Did you know that? Now, people, this is a flat-out lie. Look at the size of Greenland and the size of South America. According to your social studies teachers, what were continents? Largest land masses on the face of the earth, right? Now, do you know the continents? Africa, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, Europe, North America, and South America. Did I say Greenland? Well, Greenland isn't a continent, but it's a huge landmass according to this map, right? The map is a flat-out lie, people. If you read the legend on the map, here it says, now, look at this map. The equator on this map is down here. All the white countries are larger than they should be, and all the countries of people of color are smaller than they should be. This is a visual image that teaches children a lie. In order to make this map anywhere near accurate, you have to take this over here and put it here like this. Now, well, can somebody hold that? Can you hold that down there, somebody? Are you a somebody?
Sally is a somebody.
Okay,
yeah.
Sally's a somebody. There. Now, take a look at the difference. Does that give you a different visual image of the importance of the United States? People, the way you use things like this, teaching aids like this, are what make you and I racist. We were taught that this is the way the world looks. It's a flat-out lie.
Back again to Willie Doki Stories, and folks, what you just saw is one of the most famous anti-racism experiment ever conducted. After the assassination of Martin Luther King, Jean Ely wanted students to understand domination, not just learn about it in a textbook. Folks, so he divided the class by eye color, as you have seen in the video. Blue-eye students were treated as superior. Brown-eye students were treated as inferior. And what does that tell us? And within the minutes, everything changed. You just saw in the previous video that like 2 students were put, and Jean Ely was in the middle, black children and white children, and they were told that what is the difference between these 2 people? What is the immediate difference between the black guy and the white guy? The children who were told they were better became very, very confident and even mean to others. The children labeled inferior became quiet. They even became frustrated, and their school performance dropped instantly. All of this happened in just a single day. The experiment, known as the blue eyes and brown eyes exercise, and it later sparked a global conversation about racism, about privilege, and how quickly people can learn prejudice. For even in students, when you're being discriminated in a class, it affects the brain, and when it affects the brain, you cannot perform as you used to perform because you are found with stress. Basically, the experiment was very evident. It was all about facts, what black people go through each and every day, and how they feel, and how they look, how they can explain anything about a black person. But all in all, at the same time, it raised a very difficult question. If discrimination can be created so easily, just like that, how do we truly unlearn it? How can we unlearn that? All about that is very unfortunate that the black kids feel they don't feel comfortable in the classroom. So Falz, what do you think about those videos? Is racism a good thing? Or how do you take it? Especially with kids. They grow knowing that I'm black, I'm white, and I'm not supposed to behave like the white people, or I'm not supposed to behave like the black people. First, let me know your thoughts in the comment section about all this, because I myself, I feel like racism is not a good thing. It makes people feel unwanted. It makes people feel like they are different from others. The others have privileges from something more than them. Right? So Falz, until next time, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching.